Hey everybody, and welcome to another edition of Recap in the Past, the How I Met Your Mother edition, the best show of all time. Everything's going to be downhill from here. No, I'm kidding. As usual, I am Soda, and as usual, I'm joined by Ben the Kid Rainer, who, just for fun, I'm going to start calling Big Fudge.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, Big Fudge, everybody.
Yay, hi.
Come again for Big Fudge? I love that line. Whenever somebody says something stupid, come again for Big Fudge? Or the one time Lily says it, come again for Little Fudge?
Yeah.
And as usual, the point of the show is we just go through the seasons of shows that we really enjoy watching, and we give our thoughts on them with a top five. And whatever we do, we have a brief discussion afterwards. So, like I said, this is How I Met Your Mother. Right now, it is season 4. Now, what were your thoughts on season 4 there, Ted? Ben.
Pretty damn good season, man. I had fun with it. A lot of important stuff happened in this season that I can't wait to talk to you about.
Yeah, now I can't remember. Was this season that you said was the most important, or was that last season?
That was last season. But
Okay.
there were some important moments in this season.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because this makes especially Ted, who we will know as Ted going forward, pretty much.
Wait, what?
Well, I mean, like this is the season where pretty much it sets the course of Ted's life from here on out.
Right. Basically.
That's kind of what I meant. Sorry, folks. I just got off work. It's snowing. Whatever. Okay, so let's just hop right into it before I make a complete ass of myself. Big Fudge, what's your number 5?
My number 5 probably has my favorite cameo in the whole series. The Miss Burger in Manhattan.
Unfortunately, didn't make either of my lists, but yes, the cameo.
And cameo is the one, the only Regis Philbin.
Yes.
The setup for this is a king is trying to find something to eat. They can't never agree on anything. And so they decide to get the burger. And that's all the burgers have been clearance. And Marshall's like, when you have the best burger in New York City, you can't settle on any other burger. And the whole episode is about them trying to locate this local pub to get the best hamburger.
It wasn't a pub, dude. It was just a small restaurant and a hole in the wall. It wasn't a pub they were trying to find.
Okay, same difference.
Now, I will say this: if my friends ever did to me what they did to Robin in this episode, I would rip throats out.
Please elaborate. Why did they do Robin again?
Well, they all order, and as usual, Robin's was the last one to arrive, and they're all eating it while she's waiting and watching because she hadn't eaten like all day or some of that. And just when she finally gets hers, Marshall's like, "Oh, this isn't the one," and so they get it to leave before she even has a fucking bite. Happens like 3 times. I would kill somebody if they ever tried that to me.
So what did you think of this episode? Mine is that.
I did like it. It had definitely some laughs. For me, it's not one of my best episodes, but definitely Regis is hysterical in this movie because it's definitely all opposite of Regis. They portray Regis like some sort of roid freak. But I do have a question for you.
Okay.
Do you think the quest for the burger was like Marshall was playing it up in his mind? Like how good it was?
No, I think the quest was more because of where he was with his career at that point.
No. That's in the episode. I'm talking like because they showed in flashbacks that he's always been looking for this burger. I'm asking, do you think he thinks it's that good because he's been hyping it up in his mind?
I wouldn't say that if everybody else didn't agree with him at the end of the episode, but spoiler alert, they do.
Yeah. Well, I'm wondering if they disagree with him to get him to stop so they can all eat, especially Robin.
Yeah, I love this episode.
Yeah, I'm just looking. Yeah, it's unfortunate didn't make either my list, so. So my number 5 is a little episode called Little Minnesota.
I had that. Oh, it's on my honorable mentions.
Okay. So basically, Ted tries to keep his irresponsible sister from hooking up with Barney during her trip to New York, and Robin starts hanging out with Marshall at a bar for Minnesotans, not telling them that she's really Canadian. Now, the reason why she's doing this is because she's starting to feel homesick for Canada, which I can understand. Canada is the greatest country in the world. And so while there, she tries to find her place. She steals a whole Marshall story. She beats the psychic score on, was it Bass Pro Master or what have you. And then he finally gets fed up and she gets kicked out of the bar because apparently Minnesotans are anti-Canadian. And no, we're not all afraid of the dark. I will admit I was as a child, but no, we're not all afraid of the dark. But anyways, because he feels bad, to make it up for her, he takes her to a bar in New York, which I pray to God exists if I ever go there, called the Hoser Hut, which is an all-Canadian bar. And what's the first thing that happens when Robin walks in? She bumps into somebody who spills his beer, and he's the one that apologizes. And at the very end, he sings "Let's Go to the Mall" at karaoke.
Wait, who sings it? You haven't made it clear.
Marshall.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then on the other half of the episode, Ted's sister comes into town because she wants to, pretty much be an adult. But he has a hard time forgetting that she's not a child anymore. And because she was, I guess a hellion or whatever, she would steal stuff. And, she had a streak. And she's trying to improve herself. Ted's like having a hard time against it. And of course, trying to keep Barney away. Barney's insulted by this. She's insulted by that. So they make it seem like they actually slept together and this whole thing. But really for me, the main thing is Robin trying to find her place in New York and then finally finding it at the Hoser Hut. So
it was a great episode, man. I enjoyed this one.
Yeah. Was there any other Canadian stereotypes from this episode you wanted to ask about?
You're not afraid of a dark one.
Yeah. Like I said, no, we're not.
And are you really all that really nice?
I'd say it's exaggerated.
Okay.
Because trust me, we got the same type of assholes that you have in the States.
Okay.
I'm just gonna leave it at that. But basically, the best way to describe Canada is we are American light. We do have a lot of the same things, a lot of the same assholes, a lot of all that stuff, but to a lighter degree, less calories. We are nice to a certain point, yes.
Okay.
We don't automatically pull out a gun and start shooting people. Now, that's very anti-Canadian for when Robin does it. That's definitely, she can tell she's becoming an American.
Okay.
Okay, what's your number 4?
Intervention.
That surprisingly didn't make any of my lists.
No shit.
Yeah.
So they all, the group were doing intervention. I realized, hey, these are fun. So they started having interventions with each other. And all this is going on with Ted, Marshall, and Lily are cleaning out their apartment. Because the next day, Ted is moving in with Stella, and Lily and Marshall are moving into their new place. And they haven't moved out yet. I can't remember.
Well, sorry, what was that? I was just reading the trivia. Say that again.
Did they move out already at this point? Lily and Marshall, or no?
No, they're packing stuff up because everyone's getting ready to move.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as they were packing stuff up, Ted finds the intervention stuff and realizes they were going to intervene with him marrying Stella.
Yeah. Now let me ask you: do you think it was warranted? Like, well, I understand the point of this episode is to exaggerate interventions, but do you think this particular one, at what would have been the time they wanted to do it, was warranted? Do you think that Ted, we're talking about them like they're real people, do you think Ted and Stella were going too fast and that an intervention was warranted?
I don't think at this point, but maybe right when Ted proposed to Stella?
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. Now I
think that's when the intervention was supposed to be, when he first proposed to Stella.
Right. If that happened then, I think it would have been okay. How about you?
No, I am perfectly okay with that. For me, that's one of my things is like, I know my friends would do the same thing for me if that were ever the case. They would tell me I'm full of shit. So
Okay, what's your number 4?
Plug your ears. Woo!
Oh.
Okay, so basically the point of this one is, well, what the? Not Amazon. I don't want to go to Amazon. Come on, you bastard. So Lily is disappointed that Robin is secretly a woo girl, and Barney secretly sabotages Ted's chance to get the contract to design a new bank skyscraper. So basically, Lily at this point is starting to become obsessed with being a mom and with the whole married thing, and Robin is having a hard time connecting with her, and because Marshall's always there as a side growth, she doesn't get any girl time, so she starts hanging out with other single, desperate, lonely people like her, the woo girl. And this is the episode where Ted pitches his design for the new G&B bank building to G&B, and he's competing against this group called Sven, which honestly, a group like Sven would never fly in the practical world, because their design is a giant fucking mouth-breathing dragon with a spinning GNB logo on the top, and what was it, a stripper pole, a strip club up in the thing or some of that?
I'm thinking of the way, well, never mind.
Yeah, but anyways, it's something totally ridiculous, and its course is right up Barney's alley, so he purposely sabotages Ted's proposal for this, and it pretty much depresses Ted because this was his chance to live like his lifelong dream. So he ends up at the bar, these guys, as these people, also as a woo girl, turns out. And my favorite part of the episode, though, is the after credits, where after Barney finally comes clean to Ted about everything, and Marshall backs him up, because Marshall was the one who was on the whole episode. It's like, how the fuck could you do this to your friend? Blah blah blah. Anyways, at the end of the episode, Barney comes clean, everything's okay, so we think. Until Barney gets so drunk that Ted and Marshall tie him up to the riding bowl for how long was it?
I want to say 3 minutes, but it probably felt longer because
I think it might have been longer.
Okay.
But
10 minutes?
Maybe. It was something that you're not supposed to be tied to something like that on. Barney gets up and is like, oh, it's not so bad. It's weird because I have an inner ear infection. And as soon as he takes one step, and then, of course, the woo girls are in the corner, and the idea of a 3-way comes up every time Barney hears this. Every time he tries to walk to, he's like, gets up, falls over every fucking time. I laugh so hard because Neil Patrick Harris is so great at the physical comedy, whether he does it with his body or his facial reactions. He is so great at this.
It's a great episode.
Yes. And also reminds me why I hate bars.
Oh.
Okay, what is your numero 3?
I think it's called The Leap. Into season 4 finale.
Fun.
Okay.
Okay, my number 3 is Shelter Island.
Not on my list.
Really? You don't have the big...
Yeah, I have my honorable mentions.
Oh, okay.
I think I'm putting them in a new... I had a feeling you were going to put it in a 12.5.
Okay, so this is the turning point of Ted's life. The big day comes a lot earlier than expected. Ted and Stella are getting married because her sister, who was supposed to get married, breaks up with her vegan boyfriend, and she plans to devour all the meat she can that weekend. Take with that what you will. So their wedding moves up. Stella is uncomfortable with the idea of Robin being at the wedding. Unfortunately, Barney's the one who says, oh, I'll tell her, but knowing what we know about Barney and how much he loves her, he tells her, oh, come on down. Ted's going to be happy for you. And he tells them, oh, I missed her. She's already on her flight. And Stella's whole thing is it's a little weird to have your exes at the wedding. Now, on the flip side, Stella's ex refuses to let their daughter come to the wedding, which really upsets Stella. So Ted decides to be the good guy, and he goes and he drives to his apartment, to Tony's apartment, to convince him that, hey, I'm taking the kid with me. She needs to be there. And Tony starts crying, oh, how I messed this up, blah, 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 blah. So Ted, being the good guy he is, invites Tony to the wedding. Now, this is where Stella said it's never a good idea to invite your exes to the wedding, because what ends up happening? Stella and Tony run away, and Ted gets left at the altar. And it's interesting. It's one of the first times that I can remember. Like, you see scenes where Barney can act like normal, but it's one of the first times where you really see him try to console for his friend. Like when he's reading the note, he just goes up right behind him and it's like puts his hand on Ted's shoulder. It's like, man, it's the first time I've ever seen him do that.
Okay, think about this. Remember when I had no important moments in the season?
Yeah.
Imagine, Ted never invites Tony. Ted never meets the mother.
Yeah. This is definitely one of the landmark moments of the show. It is the turning point for Ted.
Yeah.
And of course, I want to say the Shelter Island is a fucking vegan place that I would definitely not want to ever go to.
Is it Bonnie or is it Robin or is it, I can't remember which of them were upset and they couldn't get a fucking drink of alcohol.
I think it was Robin because she gets there and told she can't go to the wedding and she hates her job and she quits. I think it was her that was most upset about the alcohol. Barney was upset because he wanted to get with Robin that weekend, but the sister throws herself at him. Played by Jensen Ackles' wife, funnily enough.
Really? I didn't know that.
That's Danielle Ackles, yeah. And then he ends up hooking up with the front desk clerk, and when the sister walks in to get to Barney, he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry." She's like, "Whatever," and walks in. So we assume he won the belt. Mm-hmm. And Robin also wanted to share a room with Barney because obviously she doesn't have a room, but she sees him with the receptionist. She's like, "I'm just gonna go that way."
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so that's that episode. And yeah, it's just that scene of Ted after reading the note and everybody consoling him. It's just like, oh my God.
Right.
I would not want to be in that position.
My number 2, right?
Yeah.
Meet the Simpsons.
That is on my honorable mention. Proceed.
The gang realizes Bonnie's been acting weird lately, so they follow him one night to, where does she live? New Jersey or Queens?
I think it's Queens, because Stella's Jersey.
Oh, okay, so they follow Bonnie to Queens, and they realize he had a wife and a son, and they're all confused. Apparently, Bonnie paid an actress and another kid actor to meet his wife and son to make his mother happy.
Yes. All because she got really sick and he thought she was dying. So he's like, okay, so I'm going to tell her I have a girlfriend. And then for some reason, the girlfriend says, I'm pregnant. So it makes me wonder, how much of the wedding cost him?
What do you mean?
Well, they got engaged to appease the mom who they thought was dying. And then out of nowhere, the actress says she's pregnant, and then Barney's mom magically heals. So if he's faking a marriage, he had to have faked a wedding. It's a good thing he makes a lot of fucking money.
Please.
Yes, exactly. Please, which we find out what that means later.
Yeah.
Funny enough, the actor who plays the son was in another episode earlier.
There you go.
Yeah, how Lily stole Christmas.
The Grinch.
Yeah. But what's funny about this is Ted ends up bonding with the actress over their shared love of obscure theater in the park, and they end up making out, which is how Loretta finds out that they're, what have you. And then when she finally finds out, she's like, oh, thank God, I did not like her. And your son, he's a shit. Because he thinks he's on a sitcom, so he's always trying to invent a catchphrase. He's acting like a snobby kid actor.
Tyler don't like him.
Yeah, Tyler, shut up. Oh, and the best part was when he tried to pick up Robin.
The best part of, and I think we have this episode to thank for the creation of one of the best revivals in TV history, Cobra Kai.
Yes, this was the introduction of Barney's theory that Johnny Lawrence is the true Karate Kid. Because he had a poster of the movie over his bed, lucky bastard.
And I don't think I'm wrong. I don't think, if this episode didn't happen, I don't know if we have Cobra Kai.
No, I'm sure we would have gone to Cobra Kai either way. Honestly, I don't think How I Met Your Mother played as big into Cobra Kai as everyone thinks it does, because the show creators were massive fans of the movies. So I honestly don't think How I Met Your Mother really had. I think it did a little bit.
Oh,
They might
okay.
have gotten the idea, but I think Cobra Kai would have happened no matter what.
Okay.
That's just me.
I didn't want to. Yeah, that doesn't matter. We'll never know.
Yeah.
Well,
But
here
no,
number
it
two.
might. But for me, I don't think it did.
Okay. Well, here number two.
Murtaugh.
I'm going for this. No.
Okay, so in this one, Barney tries to do all the items on Ted's "I'm too old for this stuff" list, while Ted tries to do all the list, everything on the list of what was his list?
I'm
Things
too
you
young.
yeah,
I'm
I'm
too
too young
young.
for this list.
Yeah.
So I think, and then of course the other half is Marshall is the basketball coach for Lily's kindergarten basketball team, and he turns into Bobby fucking Knight, yelling at the kids. That's an interesting side story, but really the crux of this is Barney trying to prove he's not too old for this stuff.
Yeah.
All because he got kicked out of laser tag by a guy who's playing it like he's the fucking police chief, which is interesting. But some of the things he does on this list, he sleeps on a futon, which I can attest to after a few years is very uncomfortable. He dyes his hair. He pierces his ear, which he does himself, and he gets infected.
Yeah.
He tries to do a beer bong, which at that point, after everything was what snapped, was the straw that broke the camel's back. What else did he do? They did the rave. Oh, and of course, Robin's with him the whole time having fun. But what else? Was there more?
I'm sure there's more. I can't think
Okay.
of any.
And then on Ted's list, there's things like going to bed at a reasonable hour, waking up at 4 a.m.
Taking forever to answer the phone.
Yeah, he can forever to answer the phone. Yeah, stuff like that. And then at the end, they both realize that, oh, I'm too old for this stuff. Oh, I'm too young for this stuff. Whatever. Let's go TP the laser tag place.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what it is. But it's the idea of Barney trying to prove that he is young at heart and the stuff that he puts himself through. It's just, I just love it when he tries to do something and it starts to make him physically. He's like, he does this weird noise voice. It happens a few times around the series. It just makes me laugh.
Side note, do you think Neil Patrick Harris could be the most versatile entertainer of the group?
Oh, yeah. Oh, easily. I mean, think about it. Lemony Snicket, Hedwig and the Angry Inch, How I Met Your Mother. Oh, yeah, the dude's very versatile. Neil Patrick Harris from Harold and Kumar.
And he brings it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, which I think Harold and Kumar is probably one of the biggest things that ever happened to Neil Patrick Harris, because it definitely brought him into the forefront, because before that, nobody really heard anything from him.
Yeah. And funny enough, both Harold and Kumar guest starred on How I Met Your Mother.
Exactly. Not together, unfortunately, but yes.
I didn't get a kick whenever we saw Cal Penn and Neil Patrick Harris share a scene. He maybe never saw him share a scene with John Shaw.
That would have been funny. That would have been legendary. Pardon the pun. Okay.
Honorable mention?
Yep, honorable mentions.
Okay. I might want to talk about one of mine, if that's
Perfectly
okay.
fine.
Why don't you go first?
Okay, so on my honorable mentions, I have The Fight, which is the one with Will Sasso.
Yep.
The Naked Man, which has Superman's wife. Yeah, Brendan Routh's wife, remember?
Oh, right. Sorry. I'm still thinking Superman and Lois from last night.
Oh no! Not her, not Bitsy. I love that name, Bitsy. Bitsy Tulloch. No, it's Courtney.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. I forget her name, but Ray Palmer's right.
Yeah. Well, in real life, married too.
Right.
Yeah. Do I Know You, which is the season premiere, which is after Ted proposes to Stella, and then they realize we don't know shit about each other. The Stinsons, and 3 Days of Snow.
That's funny. We have
3 Days of Snow. Because I like how they
Well,
managed to make it feel like it was all happening at once, but it
no,
was
no,
every
no
like,
talk about that yet.
oh, ooh,
No talk about that yet.
okay, all right. Now let's hear your honorable mention.
Season premiere, Shelter Island,
Yeah,
A Naked Man, Woo, in the Minnesota, and the one I want to bring up, the front porch.
which didn't make my list.
I'm surprised.
Yeah, it's a good episode. I don't know why that didn't make my list, but anyways, all right, let's
And
talk about it.
it's the second part of that two-parter, right? Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Ted got back with his old high school college girlfriend, Karen,
Yep.
played by help me out, I can't pronounce her name.
Laura Prepon,
Thank you.
whatever.
Uh,
Crepon,
um,
Great Poupon. I don't know.
what?
I say Great Poupon. I don't know.
Whatever. And in the show, her name is Karen.
Yeah.
Funny enough, she could be the first Karen.
Yeah, but I don't think Karen, as we know it today, means pretentious. I think it just means a see you next Tuesday. But I get where you're going. I really do.
I didn't recognize she's one of those too.
That's true. Oh, totally. Sorry, bro.
You know, they were in bed together and she found an earring from Robin. Robin's earring, I think? Yeah, it had to be.
Yeah, it would have been one of Robin's earrings.
So she breaks up with him. He gets mad because he thinks Marshall put it in the bed. But really it's Lily, and she's been doing this for years,
Yep.
picking up him and his girlfriends who failed the front porch test. And one of them happened to be Robin.
Yes.
And while all this is going on, the gang gathered together at Lily and
Marshall
Martha's
Lily's.
place
Yeah.
to watch Robin's news report at like 3 in the morning. And Bonnie makes fun of Marshall for wearing a nightgown.
Yeah, for a onesie nightgown. Well, he's wearing like this pajama suit that's like all satin and pretty much you have to lie still like a vampire. And then Marshall finally convinces Barney to try one, and Barney thinks it's the best thing ever, to the point where they even have rehashed the trippy dream sequence from Big Lebowski, which was fucking hilarious. But of course, the best part was he wakes up the next morning and after spending a night in his own bed, and he answers the door, and it's a really hot chick whose air conditioner broke or heating's busted or whatever, and he's looked like he just woke up from like a slumber, and she's like, "Yeah, I don't think so," and he's like, "Son of a no."
Wait a minute. Funny enough, I think I held this episode before I held the Big Lebowski from top to bottom.
I know I did.
So I didn't put together the connection.
Yeah, me neither. Until obviously after watching the Big Lebowski.
Yeah.
Okay. What Lily did. How do you feel about that?
I'm not with her.
You're not with her, eh?
No.
Me, I'm fine with. Okay, on my perspective, I am fine with my friends telling me like they don't like this person. Here's why. That it's when you do this underhanded stuff.
Lily has a few irritating quirks about her that really bug me.
Yeah, but they're not from a bad place. This is all done with good intentions.
Well, there's this one, and then there's a damn picture one where she actually have a best picture.
Yes. The picture one was annoying. I think out of the two, I definitely go the picture one.
Like, really?
Yeah. But how do you think about her doing it to Ted and Robin and her reasons for doing that? I understand why. If you can tell something is not best to salvage what you can.
Right. I mean, okay. I mean, I don't know.
It still feels a little weird, but I think in that particular sense, I think out of the three, I think that one might be the more forgivable.
But don't you think they would have gotten in there anyway without him meddling?
Maybe we'll never know.
I think they would have because back in season 2, when we go to that first episode with Ted's parents, who basically play a future version of Ted and Robin, you see, they didn't work out, so why would Ted and Robin work out?
Honestly, I do think this was just written just cause. But I mean, if you do look at it, I'm personally I'm fine with that particular one myself. But that's just me.
Okay.
Okay. So what is your number one? Which I'm assuming I know what it is because you told me to stop talking about it in my honorable mentions.
Yeah, we need him snow.
Yeah. All right, take her away, my man.
Like you said, there's a snowstorm that happens that affects all characters, but the reveal is the best part when you realize it happened 3 days apart.
Yeah. It's a 3-day snowstorm. Every single story takes place on a separate day.
Right. Yeah. Please continue.
Okay, so this is all off of IMDb. So Ted has just met a woman named Holly. He wants to call her right away, but Barney tells him he can't because of the 3-day rule. To shut Barney up, Ted promises that he'll follow the rule and not call her for 3 days.
No, you're wrong episode.
Son of a whore! Sorry, every time I see something on IMDb, it just starts expanding on itself. There it is.
Wait a second.
Yeah, okay, sorry. The storm of the century has hit New York in early 2009. The snowfall is supposed to last for 3 days, meaning that the city is at a virtual standstill for that long, because we all know big cities can't do snow. Pansies. Ted and Barney are supposed to meet 2 out-of-college girls at McLaren's, but without the girls' phone numbers, they can only sit there and wait to see if they show up. Carl wants to close the bar early to volunteer to shelter, and Ted and Barney convince him to let them run the bar while he's gone. Dumb idea. The start of their stint has them living their dream as they've talked about buying a bar and never having last call. Their dates arrive, but the night doesn't end up as they envisioned. Meanwhile, one of Marshall and Lily's rituals is that whenever one goes out of town, he or she brings a 6-pack back from the visited city, and the other meets her/him at the airport with a chauffeur's sign. But they decide that they've matured past such things and won't carry out this ritual upon Lily's return from Seattle. But Robin convinces Marshall to go to the airport with the sign because she's sure Lily will have the 6-pack. Meanwhile, the woman sitting next to Lily on the plane convinces her that Marshall sounds like the kind of man who will be there waiting regardless of their agreement. Will one of them be disappointed? So because of this, you have Robin and Marshall driving to the airport in a snowstorm, and if I'm not mistaken, they actually arrive on the wrong day because Lily tried to call him and say that their flight was canceled till the next day. When Lily arrives, she pages Ranjit to bring her to the nearest store so she can buy a 6-pack of Seattle beer. But unfortunately, all they have is a keg. And when she asks Ranjit to pick it up, he's like, no. She's like, well, you do it for $50. He's like, come to the car. And he just fucking grabs it and runs with it on his shoulder. Okay. No, it wasn't 50. It was $5. That's what it was. And then, of course, we had the bit with the guys at the bar, which it turns out the girls are trying to impress are from a marching band, so they have to mix straight for the whole thing. The marching band comes into play because when Marshall decides to finally show up properly at the airport, Lily thinks she's not showing up, but all of a sudden he walks. All of a sudden she starts. What song were they fucking playing? Do you remember?
I don't remember. I can't remember.
Anyways, so it's a romantic song. That's all I can. Hold on, I'm on IMDb. What the fuck?
It wasn't not a feeling, was it?
No, it wasn't. Unfortunately, IMDb doesn't list it. But anyways, you start hearing a couple members of the brass section start playing, and then more and more members of the band start playing. And all of a sudden, the whole band shows up, and here comes Marshall in a chauffeur's hat to meet Lily. And he's like, oh shit, I got to do this every time with the marching band, don't I? She's like, yeah. And that's how the episode ends. And it was fun. I liked how they managed to make it feel like it was all one night, but it wasn't.
I know. And I can tell you, every time that band gets going, I'm great. I don't know why that gets to me. I get emotional. I don't know why.
It's a beautiful, beautiful scene. I'm just quickly looking up what come on. Oh, it's fucking Old Lang Syne, New Year's.
Oh,
But still, it's the thought that counts.
yeah.
Okay, ready for my number one?
What? What? Yeah, wait. Oh, I think I know your number one.
What is it?
Because it was a put. How about
Yes,
number
that's
three?
the it's the leap.
Yeah.
So,
Take it away.
oh damn rights. So it's approaching Ted's 31st birthday, and he's at a desperate time in his professional life. He refuses to take the job as an architecture professor since he sees that as a failure of not being an actual architect. Now, the person who's trying to give him the job is Tony because he feels bad for stealing Stella. Anyways, so he takes the only design job offered to him to design a restaurant, a rib joint, in the shape of a cowboy hat. Could suit one want to go sit in the hat. For 3 solid days, this job is the focus of his life to the exclusion of all else, including celebrating his birthday. Much to his friends' chagrin, they who planned a surprise party for him on the rooftop. But Lily's pet goat throws a small wrench into Ted's plans. Up on the roof, Marshall is contemplating making the literal 6 or 7 foot horizontal leap to the roof of the adjacent building, where there's an inviting hot tub. Missing, which would mean falling several stories to the ground. Although he's thought about doing it for years, he seems closer now to doing it than ever, and Barney thinks that he's in love with Robin and plans on telling her so, until Robin pulls a Mosby on him. Robin finds out and tells Barney, "Oh, I think I'm in love with you," and all of a sudden he just snaps right out of it. And basically, the leap, or is he? Or does he? Right. Basically, the whole point of the leap is if you don't take that jump, you're not going to go anywhere. So it's a metaphor basically for they all are where they all are at their point in their lives. So with Ted, is basically he's at a crossroads because he's been left at the altar. His architecture career is not going anywhere. His business is failing. He doesn't want to take this job. Barney is because he's actually developing feelings for somebody. He doesn't know how to handle it because he's never been in that experience before. I forget what Robin and Marshall and Lily's are though.
I think Marshall is to make the leap itself.
Right, right.
Yeah, I don't think he had a leap.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't remember.
I'm gonna try to bring it up. But yeah, so basically, it's a great way to show just to metaphor like, okay, we're gonna start moving things forward with these characters, and at the end of the episode, you see that Ted has taken the job. Sorry, okay. So I'm just gonna read this plot summary off of Wikipedia. It's actually more detailed than IMDb. Disappointed. Okay, so future Ted describes the evening of his 31st birthday. Over the previous 3 days, Ted's been working on the hat. Okay, as he pulls an all-nighter in an attempt to win his firm a contract, Marshall attempts to lure Ted to the rooftop for a surprise 31st birthday party, which Ted waves off because he thinks Marshall would never schedule 2 surprise birthday parties in a row. Barney asks for Ted's blessing to pursue Robin, using an obvious analogy involving a suit. Disappointed at his inability to throw a good party, Marshall stands on the ledge of the roof, ready to jump from their apartment roof to the neighboring building's roof, beautifully furnished with a hot tub, about 7 feet away. A flashback shows Marshall's attempts over the last years to get the courage to jump. Lily tries to dissuade him by falsely claiming she is pregnant, resulting in Marshall saying that he noticed Lily gaining weight and Lily storming off afterwards. Funny part, this episode was filmed earlier in the season because at this point in time, Allison Hannigan was actually pregnant. So this was filmed actually at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, I never knew that.
Yeah, because by the time this episode aired, she was already presenting. You know what I mean? Okay. Downstairs, while Ted is hard at work, the goat scuttles around the apartment. Ted calls Lily, anxious and annoyed at his presence. After he repeatedly takes a washcloth away from the animal, the goat mauls Ted, and he is sent to the hospital. Finally, when he shows up to his restaurant design meeting, his clients decide to go with Swedish avant-garde architectural collective Sven instead of him. Sound familiar?
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, Barney has decided to confess his feelings for Robin, but before he can say anything, she says that she loves him. He quickly reacts by saying they should just be friends and picks up a random girl at the party. Lily then tells him that Robin overheard his suit analogy with Ted and was worried about what to do. After discussing it with Lily and Marshall, who revealed they had known for months, Robin decides to Mosby Barney, telling him she loves him right away, just like Ted did. Barney discovers the truth, gets disappointed, and confronts Robin at the hospital. She admits to Mosbying him, but then tries to do it again until the two confess their complicated feelings for each other and kiss. After this, they decide to discuss it later. Finally, back in the apartment, Ted laments his situation, and Lily tells him to stop chasing something that is not working and let the universe take over for a bit. When Lily tells Ted that maybe he should just take the leap and do what the world seems to want him to do, Marshall takes the advice literally and leaps from the roof to the other building, followed by the rest of the gang. Ted is the last to jump, and cheered on by his friends, makes the leap to the other building alongside them, and later accepts the professor job at the university. The episode ends with Ted, now Professor Mosby, in front of a classroom of students. Future Ted tells his children that despite being the year where he was left at the altar, knocked out by a crazed bartender, fired, and attacked by a goat, it was the best year of his life. It was all worth it because not only did it lead him to do the best job he ever had, but it also began him, when I'm getting goosebumps thinking about this, it also began him on the journey that would lead him to his future wife, as Ted reveals that she was one of the students in his class.
Funny enough, well, I don't want to spoil anything for that episode.
Yeah. Okay. And then in the production notes on Wikipedia, this episode was filmed out of order in order to allow Allison Hannigan, who was about to begin her maternity leave, to appear.
Okay.
And that's why I think this is an important episode, because basically Ted has been through shit this entire season, and it's just him telling the world, you know what, fuck you. I'm ready to move on.
Yeah. And like you alluded to, the class at the end is important too.
Exactly, and then that's where we pick up the next season.
Right. I love this episode. I mean, I know it's not my number one. Maybe I'm regretting that now, but I love it. What about you?
I really liked it. I'm just reading a critical response thing, and Greg Chow on the Rolling Stone website complimented the song choice. What song choice? Oh, apparently there's the same song that starts the season and ends the season.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and basically, apparently, it pretty much sums Ted up in a nutshell, so I gotta listen to the song Prophets by A.C. Newman.
There you go.
Yeah. But it definitely is one of the better episodes, because it is Ted saying, you know what, I got to move on from this. It's time to pick up my boots and jump.
And each season after this, we get more and more closer and closer to that destination at the very end of the show.
Yeah, and this is the season where we really start to see emotional growth, from what I've noticed, from Robin and Barney.
Yeah.
Because of this storyline, and it does continue in the next season, and then in season 6, which I argue is Neil Patrick Harris's best work on the show, and it just keeps going from there.
Yeah.
We do know from the beginning that Barney is a sociopathic with a deep psychological issues, but it's at this point where this season is where we start to finally confront those.
Right. Yeah. Well, I'm trying to think, is there anything else we can tease for next time?
Let's see. Well,
I'm going to say this.
Let's see, a new relationship begins, but go ahead.
100th episode.
Yep, the 100th episode. Hold on, let me bring up season 5. Now my computer starts to be a little slow. Fuck you.
We might see more talent from Neil Patrick Harris in one episode.
Oh, yeah, that is true. Yeah. You get to see things like the Sexless Innkeeper, which you will learn what that is. You will see Robin finally decide whether she wants to be Canadian or American, which is another one we'll have to talk about when it comes to Canadian shit.
We'll see the number one movie that takes him on.
Which is so fucking dumb. I mean, come on.
One of the best cameos in that one too, by the way.
There's a few good cameos, and watching that episode reminded me, Malin Ackerman was a thing back then.
It's always been Catan.
Well, I think Catan, though, I think his 15 minutes was like a 10 years before that when he was on SNL. But again, just me. You also get episodes like The Return of the Slap.
Yeah.
Slapsgiving 2.
Is
And
somebody's father
yeah,
make a return?
we also find out the gang were all smokers.
Yeah.
We find out about metaphors of rabbits or duck. We saw Barney do one of the most selfless things I think I've ever seen him do.
The symphony?
Yep.
Yeah.
With a great guest star in that one.
Yeah.
Ted having a midlife crisis. The house.
I know that it's going to sound weird, forgive me, but I'm going to say it anyway. We see a very important set of feet.
Sorry, very important what?
Set of feet.
Okay. Well, okay. We'll wait till next week for you to elaborate on that.
Really?
Sure. I'm actually, I'm not gonna lie. I didn't quite. I'm actually getting hard of hearing for driving forklift for many years without earbuds, so I didn't actually hear the last word.
Feet.
Feet.
Yeah.
What about?
I'll tell you off camera.
Yeah, because I'm kind of blanking. I'm kind of
You
blanking.
know
Oh
what?
yeah,
Oh,
we are introduced to the idea of doppelgangers this season.
yeah. Also, with physical buttons.
Yep. Oh god, yeah. Oh god, yeah. Oh god, my Canadian's showing, eh?
Also, I don't joke at Mr. William Defoe.
Right. And then we also get the aforementioned photograph episode, which we get the fun little side story about Barney. Yeah. And I love how I just love what happens in the last little
Say it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I love every time they take a picture, Robin's like, aw. Anyway, so that is season 5. Every season just really there's no disappointment here in both of our opinions. Every season is excellent.
I think season 1 is the weakest, but that's not saying that much.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so Ben, where can everybody find you?
You can find me at BenRated2 on Twitter. You can find me every Tuesday with Matt here on Shooting the Breeze. Every Friday on this show, Recapping the Past. Every Saturday on our flagship show, Get Sweaty. And every Sunday on my show, Ben's Hot Takes. And then every Saturday on Matt Schmodown show on a different YouTube channel.
And then you can also find me, like Ben said, everywhere here. You can also find me on my other channel, Schmoes of the North, with my friends Daniel, Dave, and Louie, where we just break down what the going-ons in the week of Schmodown was, and we do interview people from behind the scenes and in front of the scenes. And the latest Northern Consultations, which I was not on, but I did peek in at. I have my questions. How the hell did that happen? You're going to have to watch and find out. It's the episode with Jada Paramo. They still haven't given me an answer on that. Anyways, so till next time, everybody, you all have yourself a good evening, good day, whatever. We will see you next week. Don't forget, everyone, smash cancer and stay sweaty.
And